Chai with Manjula presents NReye, A Closer Look, a special series that focuses on some of the key issues that affect Indo-Americans and NRIs and takes a close look at solutions and prevention as well. The Indo-American community today has a lot to be proud of. We are recognized as a model minority for our accomplishments and for making a difference at so many levels in a brief period of about 5 decades. In my previous series of about 6 years, I highlighted some of these contributions by focusing on Indo-Americans giving back. But during the last 6 months, in a special series called NReye, A Closer Look, we focused on some of the challenges and issues that our community faces and discussed ways to address them. Today, we wind up the series by giving you a brief overview of the topics that we covered, including a few clips from the shows. You will find links to the full episodes online at chaiwithmanjula.org. The shows are also posted on YouTube. NReye, A Closer Look, presented by Chai with Manjula and sponsored by the Tech Museum of Innovation, San Jose, California, a unique hands-on technology and science museum for people of all ages and backgrounds, which inspires innovations for the benefit of humanity. And Development Alternatives Group, a non-profit organization in India that brings together traditional knowledge and modern science for sustainable development at the community, national, and global level. We started the series NReye, A Closer Look 6 months ago on a sad note with a discussion about the problem of suicide among our youth. Nina Grover shared a poignant story of her son's loss to suicide, which led her to start a suicide prevention walk. Parijat Deshpande, a mental health consultant in the Bay Area, shared some critical information on the subject.
I'm left with his sweet memories. I cannot forget his last glimpse. When I saw him in the coffin, his body was cold, but he looked so handsome.
In the US, one person commits suicide every 15 minutes, and an attempt is made every minute. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among 15 to 24-year-olds and second among 25 to 34-year-olds. And unfortunately, the Indo-American youth are also falling in the grip of this epidemic.
Step number 1, say something. Definitely say something. Pull the person aside in a private situation when they're comfortable and share your concerns. Sit them down very, casually and say very specifically, these are the things that you've been doing that I've noticed, and I love you and I care about you and I'm very worried.
Okay. As a follow-up on the same topic, we had another discussion which covered pressures on our youth at home and outside of home with a veteran school psychologist, Nandini Verma.
Ivy League colleges are definitely the aim of every student here. And I think we're set up to a point, the pressure is definitely there. Like, you need to get into a good school.
When I went to Kentucky for a debate camp, people were kind of confused. Some people asked me if I was a feather Indian. Someone asked me who my chief was.
Kid who sat next to me in science, and he would just talk about curry and curry all day. And first of all, we don't even call our food curry, which is hilarious. I was joking with my grandmother. I was telling her, what if I don't marry an Indian? And she was like, I won't come to your wedding then.
They would definitely prefer for me to marry an Indian girl or date an Indian girl than any other girl.
You have to face the social pressures, obviously, that a lot of people do not interact with Indian people.
People just don't know what to expect, or people don't know truly what Indians are.
What's your message for parents?
Important message is you must be in touch with your child at all times. Okay. No matter how mad you are, you still love your kid, you want the best for your child, and you truly need to see what they're reading, what they're watching, and what they're doing on Facebook.
Okay, and your message for the kids out there?
For the kids, parents love you more than anybody else.
Okay.
Parents are there to stay. Friends come and go. So when you feel like your parents don't understand your friends, talk to your parent. What is it about my friend you don't like? Bring that friend over. Okay. Let them chit-chat with your parents. Okay. So your parents have to know where you are.
One major area of misconceptions about Indians is religion. Today we'll take a close look at the approach that 2 organizations have taken to address this issue in classrooms. My guests are Dr. Meher Meghani, co-founder of the Hindu-American Foundation, also known as HAF, and Jesse Kaur, a board member of the Kaur Foundation.
One of our latest projects, and I'll end with this, is a project called Hinduism 101, which is a teacher training program, very similar to the kind of things that the Kaur Foundation does. It's to basically train teachers so they understand a better way to teach Hinduism.
That's a great idea.
And Hinduism can't be taught in the same way Christianity is taught. Well, what's the book? What's the founder?
So Kaur Foundation has created this DVD. It's a 17-minute DVD, and it focuses on the cultural and celebratory themes, festivals, holidays, Sikh culture, Sikh traditions, and aims to find commonalities.
One theme that received a lot of attention was domestic violence and abuse, which we covered in 2 episodes with leaders of the organizations Maitri and Narika, Dr. Mukta Sharangpani and Vandana Kumar.
When women know what their rights are, they know that they can stand on their own feet, there's less chance of them putting up with violence. Secondly, I think it's important for us as a community to continue to have this conversation. This is not an issue that can be swept under the rug and let's not talk about it. It's our dirty secret. We have to talk about it.
I think it's interesting to sort of categorize solutions in a 3-pronged kind of way, right? The individual, the immediate community, and the larger community within which this individual resides, right? So,
continuing with the theme of domestic abuse and exploitation, we invited Anu Peshauria, an immigration attorney and an author of 2 books on the subject, to give us some insights and advice about fraudulent NRI marriages. Today the topic is NRI marriage fraud, which affects thousands of women in India. Of course, there are reverse cases of fraudulent marriages too, where men are the victims. But since that number is relatively much lower, we are focusing on the fraud against women.
Do a complete background check. If you don't do a complete background check of a woman or a man, you might not get what you're looking for. That's one of the major things. The other one is check the marriage laws of the country you're immigrating to. It could be UK, it could be somewhere else, Australia. But please check the marriage laws because it could be totally opposite yours. And you don't know what you're getting into. Tomorrow you might have children from those marriages, and then there'll be international custody disputes. How will you handle that? So all those you should know by doing these prenuptial workshops in India. They're very important. And the last one, if you do get stuck, please do not hesitate in calling for help. Most of the Indian women hesitate a lot in calling for help. They feel, oh my God, but unless and until they do that, it does not get documented. Tomorrow anything goes wrong, in the United States, they are going to look for documentation. Did you call the police? Did you make a report? If you do not do that, tomorrow there is no way you can be saved.
We'll take a short break here and we'll share some of the other issues that we covered during the last 6 months.
If you are planning on retiring to a warmer location, then it's important that you visit Shanti Niketan. Shanti Niketan is the only Indian retirement resort community in the US, a private and gated community located in sunny and peaceful Orlando, Florida. The best place for Indians to retire. Call now for more information.
Chai with Manjula presents NReye, a closer look. Welcome back. This is our final episode of the series NReye, a closer look. And we are giving you an overview of the discussions we had so that you can catch a particular show that interests you on our website, chaiwithmanjula.org, or on YouTube. So besides issues related to our youth and women, we also talked about the challenges that our seniors face and dedicated 4 episodes to this theme. 2 to the early immigrants who are getting into their 60s and 70s now, and 2 episodes to the late immigrants who moved to the US to join their children and grandchildren. 2 groups with their own unique issues and solutions.
My concerns about growing old in the United States revolve around, number 1, having a good social environment for all of us.
The things that really worry me being in US and getting old here is the health issues, where there are kids who are very good kids, but whether they will be there for us to take care of us.
Being all alone and lonely That really worries me big time. I think the challenges are really going to come when out of the two of us, one of us is left alone. At that time, you really need some kind of support system.
Culturally, we feel we want to be close to our children, and that remains a challenge.
We should get people from India on a visa so that they can come and help.
It'll be great to have a community kind of a setting.
Life is difficult, and surely enough we won't be staying with our kids.
Love and affection, which we get in India, you're never going to find it here.
I really don't know what we're going to do when you get older.
We really don't know what our future holds.
As we all know, the flow of students from India to the US began in the 60s, and then measurable immigration followed in the coming decades. Now, Indo-Americans constitute about 1% of the US population. And what we just saw was some of these pioneers sharing their concerns about the life ahead, which has become a common topic of discussion in social gatherings these days. For the first group of seniors, the aging NRIs, Dr. Kailash Joshi had a very crisp list of 5 things that we all must do to prepare for old age and death.
As you grow older, it becomes, I think it's wise for people to sit down, if you're married, for example, for both the spouses to sit down and discuss very openly the possible things that can happen or that are going to happen actually.
Right.
And one of the eventualities is going to be that there's going to be a first death, one spouse is going to go, leaving the other one behind, and all the consequences of death for that person to face. Then there'll be second death, and a lot of things will happen between the first two, but that has its own consequences, but that are not as germane.
Next, we had a retirement planning specialist, Anil Gulati, give us a list of 5 documents that we all must have for our financial planning as we grow older.
One is like a durable power of attorney.
Okay.
Another one is advanced medical directives. Then there's a basic will. You got to have a will.
Okay.
And then there's like a intent, a letter of intent, letter of instructions, or actually I call it family love letter.
Okay.
It's about very personal issues.
Okay. Specify everything, list everything.
Exactly.
Your wishes.
Exactly. And then there is the living trust.
As we talked to a group of people in our community, one serious concern that they raised was the lack of a culturally appropriate support system in old age, which would include Indo-American retirement communities, assisted living facilities, home care, and so on. So to address this concern, I had a very informative conversation via Skype with Iggy Ignatius, the founder of Shanti Niketan Retirement Resorts in Florida, who explained how his successful model could be replicated all over the country as needed.
So we have come up with a model that we can build a 100 condo project with the clubhouse in a gated community, just like Shanti Niketan in Florida.
Okay.
If 25 people come forward and are willing to put down the cost of their condo, not their selling price, but the cost of the condo upfront as capital for the project.
Okay.
I will come in and I will help them build a 100 condo project. We'll sell the 75 condos to outside people, and the 25 condos will go to these original people. Now, these people who come forward get 2 benefits. The first major benefit is they get a condo at cost, not at the selling price, but at cost. The second thing is we make profit selling it to the other 75 people.
Okay.
That profit we share with them. With that, each one of those 25 people get a very decent return on their investment from the time they put their money until the time they get their condo. So we can replicate the model in any city like this.
Now we'll focus on the other group of seniors in our community, the late immigrants who moved to the US to spend their golden years with their children and grandchildren. While some of them do get by and manage to lead a fulfilling life, many are caught between 2 cultures and find it difficult to navigate the system. They often feel isolated and helpless, as these clips will show.
We feel very isolated here due to lack of company.
One of the issues is isolation.
The transportation is a big problem for me.
My problem starts
with the language. Though I know English, I cannot understand. Whenever I come over here, I am without any Medicare here. And that is quite scary.
And totally dependent upon son or daughter-in-law.
When it came to the challenges that seniors from India face, we invited Dr. Anita Jhunjhunwala Mukherjee as our first guest. Anita has published a book on the quality of life of this group of seniors.
But in my research, we focused on issues that arise because of late life immigration.
Okay.
Right? Because that's almost like, uprooting a large tree from one country to the other.
Very good analogy. Okay.
Yeah. We need to build awareness in our community because only we have to do things for our seniors and ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
I agree.
Then we have to, find representation in mainstream agencies like aging services, or we have to work with transport agencies out here.
Next, we had Asha Chandra, manager of the Human Services Department in Fremont, California, who shared some important information about the mainstream resources that are typically available to seniors across the country.
We offer a senior peer counseling program where seniors get trained to work with other seniors. We have a caregiver support program. We have a mobile mental health program where they actually go to your home for some mental health services.
Okay.
We have our whole entire paratransit program. So there's a lot just the city offers, but in addition, there's many agencies that offer wonderful programs.
Dinesh Bajaj, a longtime volunteer with seniors in the Bay Area, talked about how Indo-American communities around the country could create programs to support the elderly from India, using ICC in California as a model.
We do realize that people who have come from India, they're older generation than we were when we came here. We adapted a lot faster, and for them it's not as easy. And they do face those problems. And our main mission really at ICC is to make their life happier and more relaxed. And as a matter of fact, the feedback we continuously get from them is that this is more of a first home for them than their real homes. So we really do get by. And the programs, a lot of them are designed by them, the involvement of the seniors. It's not like we impose
based on the need. Dr. Sadhna Diwan, professor at the School of Social Work at San Jose State University, gave us tips on healthy aging. And Dr. Ramesh Japra, a cardiologist and well-known community leader in the Bay Area, shared some critical information about managing the high-risk factors that South Asians face when it comes to major health conditions.
Healthy aging or successful aging has been researched in the literature to involve three important things. The first is avoiding disease and disability. The second is maintaining high physical and cognitive function. And the third refers to engagement in life.
Unfortunately, the South Asian Americans here, especially the immigrants, the Indian-American immigrants, we have come. And there's been a lot of studies which are showing that we are a lot more prone to coronary artery disease, hypertension, diabetes, vitamin D deficiency, and some others.
Well, we covered quite a bit and hope that you will find the information beneficial. All of these shows and our previous shows from the past 7 years are available on YouTube. Links are also provided on our website, chaivithmanjula.org, on the View Shows page. It's time for a short break. We'll have reflections with Jessie when we come back. Chai with Manjula presents Reflections with Jessie. We have often heard that it is important to have an attitude of gratitude. Let us reflect with Jessie on what it really means to be grateful.
Welcome to Reflections with Jessie. Gratitude is a state of mind one chooses. It is a way of living that acknowledges and appreciates the gifts we have, rather than expecting or pining for more. When we live in gratitude, we embrace the wonders and miracles that each day unfolds and open ourselves to more joys. Every debacle, every setback offers an opportunity. The cosmos opens a new door when an old one shuts. Gratitude enables us to await the new opening without wasting our energy or fretting over the one that closed. We are all familiar with the oft-repeated cliche of seeing the glass half full, not half empty. And we think we do see the glass being half full. But do we? Really? Don't we complain, criticize, or assign blame to others when things are not going well? Do we whine about life being unfair? Do we tend to compare ourselves with those who have more material things and feel a twinge of envy? When we are in gratitude, there are no complaints, only contentment. Gratitude is devoid of a sense of entitlement, which is rampant today. Last year, I was very pleasantly surprised when I received a handwritten note from a high school grad who had received a gift card from us. For all the birthdays and grad parties we've gone to, we've never had any sort of acknowledgement of the gift from any youngster. Forget about a handwritten note. They've become a thing of the past. To my mind, this is indicative of taking things for granted and a pervasive sense of entitlement. Everyone has so much, and there is very little appreciation. The Dalai Lama, the Nobel Prize winner and the sage of the 20th century, says, "Every day, think as you wake up. Today, I'm fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I'm not going to waste it." How often have you gotten up and bowed in gratitude for a body that is healthy, that can move, smell, taste, hear, and rejoiced at that thought? An incident that happened more than a decade ago remains fresh in my mind as the epitome of gratitude. We were visiting India. It was a cold December evening in New Delhi. We were walking to a restaurant for dinner. We saw a young Sikh boy who was about the same age my son at that time, about 9 years or so, selling evening newspapers. We bought a newspaper from him. My son pointed out that the young boy's feet were bare. He was not wearing shoes. While we were having dinner, my son kept looking at his own new shoes, whose heels lit up when he walked. We had bought them just before the trip to India. I knew my little boy's heart was deeply saddened by what he had seen. I did not expect what happened next. He asked me if it was okay to give his shoes to the barefooted kid. I was deeply touched. I told him it was okay, but he should know that while we were in India, we may not be able to find him a similar pair. Teary-eyed, he nodded. After dinner, we looked for the newspaper boy. He was not where we had left him. We found him at the next traffic light a few blocks away. My son was delighted to see him and offered his shoes to him. The boy was puzzled. He told us he did not want any shoes. It was our turn to be puzzled. He told us that he had never owned a pair of shoes and it did not bother him. He said he had a little brother who did not have any shoes either. How could he go home wearing a new shiny pair while his little brother had none? We offered him some money. He turned us down, saying that he was not a beggar. We asked him if we could help in any way. His eyes lit up. He said, "You can buy all my newspapers." And he said that he would be able to go home early if we did that. We did just that. And as he skipped away joyfully, his parting shot to us was, "I have strong legs and feet. I can run very fast." And then, "My father cannot walk. He has polio." It was a shining example of gratitude that has remained illumined in my mind. There is so much to be grateful for. Let's make it a habit to acknowledge our gifts with humility and in gratitude. Thank you for watching, and always be in Chardikala, eternal optimism, which is the natural state of a mind that is in gratitude.
I would like to thank Jessie Kaur for her beautiful and inspiring messages in this series. As I take your leave, I thank the Tech Museum of Innovation in San Jose, California, and Development Alternatives Group in India for their sponsorship. I thank you all very much for tuning in, and all of my guests for their valuable input. I am grateful to my friend and board member Anu Mehal, my husband Praveen Gupta, son Ankur Gupta, and daughter Rohini Gupta for their support, and to the volunteers Deepti Mehta and Priya Khanna as well. For Chai with Manjula, I'm Manjula Gupta. Goodbye and take care. Watch this show again at chaiwithmanjula.org or on YouTube.